Welcome back to the Padilla family homestead. We are back in the garden. The last garden video I did was kind of telling you what I'm growing for the full garden and the plans and all of that. And so the next thing I was supposed to do was seed starting, and I was going to do it that following day that I had recorded that video, and thank goodness I didn't, because we ended up with over 6 inches of rain last night, and that was completely unexpected. There was flooding all over the place, and a lot of stuff would have gotten washed away. Today it was 91 degrees with a feels like 100, and actually I think I got up to feels like 103 at the hottest part of the day. And it's been super humid, and it's hot and miserable. I'm recording this video about 7:30, between 7:30 and 8 o'clock at night. It had started to cool down a little bit. The sun's going down, and this seemed to be the perfect time to come out and prep the beds and get a few things direct sown. I did decide to, off camera, before I decided to record, I planted my Brussels sprouts direct sown into a container, and I direct sowed a couple of nasturtiums into my cucumber pot to billow out the front end of that. And now I am pulling weeds, grass basically, out of this bed. So this bed gets a ton of grass and a ton of mint, which is always fun. This section right here is where I had my onions planted, and I've kind of just let it go since then. I've used the hula hoe on it a couple of times, trying to kill things back, but since it rained, I decided to get down here and really pull the weeds out. This is where I'm going to plant my fall crop of squash. So I'm going to be planting one winter squash bush, and that is the acorn squash. And then I'm going to try a Ford Hook zucchini. I have barely enough time for the acorn squash. The zucchini I should have plenty of time for. So hopefully that works out. I'm doing bush versions because I have a small yard right now. We don't mow our yard. Somebody else comes and mows the yard. And so trying to have vines coming out of the bed would be more problematic, I think. And so I decided to try to do bush as much as I could. In the ground, I decided to create these little mounds with a divot in the center, and that's where I'm planting the seed, because squash do need a lot of water. And so I'm hoping that this is going to help contain some of the water when I water or when it rains, to collect it there. Later, my plan is to plant radishes all around this barrier. It's a little early to plant radishes right now. I think I'm going to do that in about a month. So what I decided to do was to do some turnips around the edges. I don't know if my chive seeds are good, so I'm just going for it, and I'm planting a Chinese chive in one corner, a bunch of them surface sown, and then I'm going to do a bunch of the common chives in another corner. And if these don't sprout, which they're supposed to have cooler temps to sprout, so if they don't sprout because they're from like 2020, I am going to try to start some inside, and if they still don't sprout, then I'm going to, I have some on order to come in. I really wanted the chives because rabbits don't like oniony things, from what I understand, and so I'm hoping that'll help keep the rabbits from eating my squash plants. I'm a little nervous about this down in this section, because I have seen the rabbits in this bare part of the bed, and I really don't want them to wipe things out. So I'm planting turnips kind of willy-nilly around the edges. I should be like pressing them in a little bit, not too deep, but pressing them in a little bit. And I decided to just kind of sprinkle them and toss the dirt over and just see what happens. So this tool is what I call a hula hoe. It's what I grew up calling it. I think it's also called a stirrup hoe. It's completely enclosed around, and it basically hoes from both directions. So I am clearing this section that had beets and radishes in it earlier in the spring, and then I realized I should probably just pull these turnips out. So I'm going to yank all the turnips out, and they're getting really beat up and super bug eaten right now. They're not super big, but this is the final harvest on them, and they don't take that long to grow, really. These took longer to bulb because I had them so thickly sown there wasn't room for them to grow, so then I would pull some and then these would start to bulb. So they're not super big. They're small, but they're a meal, and that's awesome. So I'm excited about that, and I'm going to go ahead and keep cleaning up this bed. I'm going to have stuff planted in here until November, basically. I'm trying to use this space. I'm not going to try to overwinter any cabbage or kale or anything along those lines in this bed. My goal is, because of the rabbits, and also because of how much snow we get, and if I decide this concrete can get ice on it pretty quickly because the snow will melt and then refreeze, and so it can get really slick. And so I want to have the ability to put some de-icer down and to be able to shovel this out and so forth as I need to. I'm going to try to be super careful about keeping that away from the edge of the bed. I really want to just put that on this side closer to the GreenStalk so I have a strip to walk out. But what's going in this bed, there is going to be food in this bed, and that's why I want to be careful of it. But I'm going to do garlic, and I'm going to plant that out in probably November. And then I'm also going to do onions in the spring, and I bought some onion seeds to start. And depending on how I do with that, we'll decide if I buy onion sets from Dixondale Farm again. This year I'm going to try some short day onions over here, because I'm in a zone where I can do short day or indeterminate day. So basically you don't need as many daytime hours for it to bulb. And I think the reason why that works so much better in the South is because by the time you have the crazy long days, then you have the crazy heat, and the onions are going to bolt and go to seed. And so if you have short day onions, then they start bulbing earlier and allow you to have a harvest, a big size harvest, before they try to go to seed. So that's the plan for here. But first we're going to get through all the peppers and utilize the rest of this space until that time comes. So this bed has peppers and okra and that beautiful pineapple sage bush that you see right there. It has dill in it and a tomato bush in the back and marigolds, and now it's going to have squash and radishes and turnips and beets and all the things. So that's kind of the plan for this area. So what I'm going to end up doing, I'm not planting them today, but right behind the peppers, I am going to do a 2 to 3 rows of carrots in ground right there. And I'm going to wait because I want to have something down because it's really too hot to sow carrots super well. They don't like to germinate over 85. And so one of the things I really want to do is water it really well, put my carrots down, cover them, and then keep that watered. And that way it gives them a chance to germinate and not have those seeds dry out. So that's kind of the plan, but I'm kind of waiting another, probably till this next week, to do that. And then I'm just trying to even out the ground here, pull out any grass that I can actually get out. And then we're going to plant in this little corner. And I'm going to go ahead and plant some golden beets and some cylindra beets, and then we plant some turnips over here as well. I am trying to be more intentional with spacing. I also am trying to be intentional with how many I'm planting, because I'm trying to leave room for other things in this bed. So I may not get a ton of beets, or I may not get a ton of turnips. But I'm going to have some turnips. I'm going to have some beets. Hopefully I'll have some kohlrabi over here. I'll have some carrots. I'm going to have peppers and some squash. It's not enough to do anything crazy with, but it is enough to provide some meals and to harvest and replace some of the stuff from the grocery store, which is what I'm trying to do. It's so funny because you could tell it is super hot out by the color of my arms. It's like 87 out when I'm doing this at almost 8 o'clock. And it's getting warm. I'm getting tired at this point, but I really wanted to get this stuff in. So anytime you're planting seeds, even though it just rained a ton, and it's been super hot today, this top layer of the ground is going to dry out faster than underneath the ground. And so when you plant seeds, it's really important that you, one, are planting them the right depth, because seeds only have enough energy to come up a certain amount of space. And so you plant them twice as deep as they are wide. And that's how much energy they have to come out. If you plant them too deep, they won't have enough energy to pop out to the light and survive. So you want to keep that in mind. So every seed kind of has its depth. I like to mark where I'm putting things. So I've put sticks in the ground for my rows that I have planted. And then I'm going to come through and I'm going to water really well again. Now the top layer of this is already pretty dry, which was kind of crazy with how much water we got, but it's been really hot. So I'm going to water this really well. We're at that phase of the summer where I really need to water every morning, which is kind of rough on days when I need to be at work by 7:45 in the morning. And so I'm trying to get up early and get out there and water early and give my plants some hydration to get through these super hot days. At some point, I would love to find some straw that I know for sure hasn't been sprayed. But at this point, I don't have that source at this point yet. And so I'm leaving the ground uncovered, which means I have to weed a whole lot more, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. And I would rather not have poison in the garden if that's the case. So if that's my options, that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm watering in these really well. I water in my Brussels sprouts and the nasturtium that I did. And I'm going to go ahead and direct seed some sugar snap peas. I feel like it is way too hot for these right now. However, this is the time that the app is saying that I'm supposed to be planting these. So I don't know. I'm going to try about right now. If they don't work well, then I'm going to try another round in a few weeks as it, because we still have August to go and August is really hot. So I don't know. I'm going to play with this and see what happens. And I'm not holding my breath for these peas, but I know I'm not going to get anything if I don't plant them, and I'm still learning this zone and this climate. So we're just figuring it out. Once I get all these in, then I'm going to go ahead and water this in And that is my day in the garden today. I will take you along with me when I end up starting my seeds inside in the cooler weather. I will be starting some Brussels sprouts just in case inside because I've never direct sown them outside, and going through that process. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you back on the next video.